How are you guys doing? I'm Martin from Gardens for Life and Birdland Homestead. So we are doing our final stream now. This will be our final live stream, at least a scheduled one. We will still be doing them one at a time as we please, but it's just because we're coming into the busy season now, and it's just getting a little bit too hectic now, trying to extract all of the tubers before the frost comes in the gardens. What we'll do is, again, if you have any questions, please let me know about gardening or homesteading. And welcome. Thank you for joining. We'll just hang on in there for a minute, as we do, just to see if we get some more people joining. Usually we do. And yeah, this time I'm going to just go through the list of people that inspired us just a little bit. If you're interested in that, I've talked about it before. There is a list on our website of people, or some of the people that inspired us anyway. Although it isn't quite up to date, it's still very interesting. I'm going to show you some of the great people out there, and some of them have YouTube channels and books as well. And I've actually also got some new, well, some of these books are new, the Plants for a Future books as well. So they're not sponsoring us, but I just want to support them because we've got so much information for free off their website. And a little bit of support by buying a couple of books is not too bad. And plus, they're very useful as well. So there's a lot of perennial plants and trees that you can grow here in the Irish climate, or in the UK for that matter, that have multiple uses, such as fodder, food, nectar, building materials, or even firewood. So like, for example, willow can also be turned into wood chips and then into compost if you have to. If you can't get access to either, well, people along the coastline in Ireland usually are using a lot of seaweed because it's available. But in the Midlands, for example, we have mushroom compost. So we're fortunate enough to have it. So let me have a look here now. Hello, how are you doing? Greetings to Kerry. Hello, Mike, how are you doing? Sorry, no, I wasn't on last week. Something came up, and we were busy actually handing out our pumpkins. This is one of the Oshiki Kuris. It's actually quite a big one for what they are. Normally they're a bit smaller than that, and they're a really nice pumpkin. And we just did our pumpkin harvest. For those of you who haven't seen it, this year's harvest wasn't quite as big as the one from 3 years ago, the last pumpkin video that I made. But we're very happy with this year's harvest, and we had plenty of pumpkins to give one to every household in the neighborhood. So we're very happy about that. And we sent on a recipe to them for soup as well. So they'll be able to use it for Halloween decorations, and they'll be able to eat it afterwards as well. So that's handy. Now, let me just have a look here. Yeah, so this is going to be one of the, as I said, for those of you who just joined, this is going to be the last scheduled live. I'm still going to do them, but I'm going to just announce them a couple of days beforehand in the future. It's not going to be every Thursday anymore. So it's going to be a little bit less frequent because we have a lot of work coming up in the gardens. The mashuas are not too bad yet. They'll be okay until December. So some of the tuberous vegetables from the Andes need to be gathered up before the frost comes along and wipes them out. Like the yacon and the oca will be okay with the first frost wiping out the foliage, and then after that you better harvest them because they won't grow anymore after the foliage has perished. So what I like to do is maybe keep an eye out for the frost. If you are growing any of these vegetables here, by the way, the oca, for example, is very similar to the potato, but it's a completely different plant. And we find they're actually becoming more and more popular as a vegetable to replace, not even necessarily to replace the potato, but to actually just basically just as a another vegetable to eat. And in New Zealand, they're actually eating it just like we do here, like the potato, basically every day. How are you doing? Thanks for joining us from Monaghan. So let me just have a look here now. It is fierce mild down here too in Roscommon. I was able to walk outside without a jacket in late October. That's already a sign that it's a fierce mild winter. The summer wasn't great now down here, to be honest with you. It was okay. Plenty of long days and all that, and a bit of sunshine, but no heat waves anyway. Well, for the rest of Europe, I guess that's a good thing. But we don't actually mind. Our gardens didn't dry out at all this summer. Our gardens thrived, and as soon as the leaves get wet, of any plant for that matter, the pores get blocked and they cannot perform photosynthesis, and therefore they can't grow when they're wet. So a wet day isn't great for the trees and the plants, even the herbaceous perennials. But in general, obviously sunshine will help anyway. But our garden did fine, except for the corn. The only thing that we had really about 6 weeks behind, and too far behind for it to even be able to catch up, was the corn. It didn't quite develop. It didn't even quite develop, actually, never mind ripen. And we tried some of the baby corns, which were like giant baby corns. They were not great, to be honest with you. And but we were chancing it though, growing a variety called Golden Bantam. I guess that's a very big variety that takes a longer maturation time. You're better off with a Canadian corn like Charles from the Bull on Ark is actually using and developing a breed of corn that actually works in Ireland best. So it looks very interesting. If you want to see it, go to either the Instagram or the Facebook page of the Bull on Ark in Loughrea. It's a market garden, and they have some pictures there of the new corn. But anyway, again, if you have any questions, please let me know. Anything to do with no-day gardening, forest gardening. I just got off the phone with somebody that wants to set up a forest garden, and there's more and more people actually even doing it. I'm actually surprised sometimes when I hear people talking about, I was just working on the forest garden there, as if it's a casual thing now these days. Because back a long time ago, hello Bianca, how are you doing? Thanks for joining. We are, we're hearing the term forest garden more often. A forest garden, for those of you who don't know, is simply a regular garden with lots of perennials and some fruit trees scattered around the place. Possibly some nut trees as well. Probably a bit further out though from where you're growing your regular crops or your vegetables, basically your annual vegetables that require a little bit more maintenance. We don't grow many of those actually at all anymore, because the space in the gardens is so valuable that we don't bother with a lot of the we should grow more lettuce, because we had these giant lettuces. I think what was the variety was, I don't remember now. It was a kind of a iceberg lettuce, but it was absolutely massive. And we had great success this year with the vegetables. A lot of people said their gardens have suffered. Anyone here, how did your gardens do? Let me know in the chat. If there's anything you'd like to tell me, did your garden grow very well this summer, or were crops way behind? Like 4 weeks is what I'm hearing, both from Europe and from Northern America as well, like the US and Canada. But that's okay, because our perennial plants, they're mostly perennial. And hang on a second. Our plants in our gardens are mostly perennial, just like Martin Crawford in Devon in southern England. He is also growing a forest garden for quite some time now. I believe it's nearly about 20 years. And it's one of the people that inspired us, actually. And once you're growing perennial plants, that means plants that grow for 3 years or longer, you don't have to sow. You don't have to put in all that extra effort every single spring to sow more plants, sow more seeds. Buy them actually first of all, or save them hopefully in your own gardens, or get them at some local seed and plant swap. And then you can start your plants and then plant them out. And then imagine if you have to do that every year. That's annual. That's regular old vegetables for you. But if you're doing herbaceous perennials and trees and shrubs, such as even all the currants and all the gooseberries, you're very well off, because you can just let them grow, and they get bigger and bigger every year. And every year, every spring, those plants are waking up early, because they're already bigger than any plant that you can grow from seed that year anyway. And they add on to the root system. So they keep adding on. Let me see here. Can you hear me okay? I'm just double checking. Let me know, how did your garden do in your just in the comments below or in the live chat? And whereabouts you're based? Are you based in the country? Are you based in Ireland, or whereabouts are you? And did you find that the growing season was way behind this year? We certainly found the only thing it really affected was actually our corn, the sweet corn. Everything else was fine. Everything else was growing along. Right, thank you, Bianca. Everything else was growing along fine, and it's mostly leafy greens, actually. Like the mashua is actually a tuberous nasturtium, and leaves, they're actually edible too, just like nasturtium leaves, but they're not spicy. But all it does is, for the whole growing season, all the mashua does, it keeps producing more and more leaves, and it's a climber. And it doesn't matter whether it's not sunny days. It doesn't need a lot of sun. Same as the kale. All of the kales, all of the brassicas, I guess, they don't really need an awful lot of sun, I don't think. At least the kales don't anyway, because you're not looking for flowers from them. And a lot of the perennial kales actually just don't go to flower. They just keep producing more and more leaves. And when you take the top off them, they basically just branch out. So that's what happens. Let me just have a look here. So I'm just going to show you some of the people that have inspired us. So there's actually a list, and I'm just going to go through a couple of the people here. On the website, you can find this list too, for those of you who haven't seen it before. I just want to share this list. Hang on now, can you see that? Okay, yeah, you can. I just want to share this list of people that inspired us, because I want you to go out there and have a look at them and see which of these people, maybe some of them will actually suit you, and maybe some of them will inspire you too. And I just want to show you how our gardens and all of that came together. And basically we took lots of bits and pieces from all of these different various people just to create what we have now. So Seb Holzer was certainly an influence. I'm just gonna talk about a few of them, a few of the main ones anyway. Seb Holzer is actually based in Austria, and he's a farmer. He's also known as the rebel farmer, because he pays more fines per year, something like, I think it's like a massive amount of money, even though his farm is more regenerative than any other farm. And there's a whole thing about it. It's actually, when it was being developed, everyone called him mad. And as the decades passed, basically this was in the 60s and 70s, when he was up there on the side of the mountain with a giant digger making terraces and ponds. And actually here, I'll show you, look, this is him here. And he wrote a number of books as well, some of them very good for water retention. That's what it's all about. And he actually created a lake in Portugal where there was a desert before. And the whole ecosystem around that now, after only a few years, is amazing. You can see his place there just a little bit. Sepp Holzer is well worth looking up, and mostly it's German, but you can also, some of the videos are in English as well, and there's translations. So Martin Crawford from Devon is another one. He's based in southern England, for those of you who don't know where Devon is. And he does not have a YouTube channel, I believe, but he does have a website, and he offers some courses and stuff. But I haven't taken his course, to be honest, but I've looked at his book anyway. I've owned his book, and the tour is on YouTube. At least it's an older tour, but you get to see what type of plants he's grown. He has a 2-acre forest garden with over 550 species of plants. And most of them are edible. And there are plants from all over the world, but plants that do very well in southern England. So we can certainly take an example of what he's grown. For example, Szechuan pepper is one plant that I found out about through him in one of his videos. And now we're growing Szechuan pepper as well. We have our first peppercorns this year. A lot of good stuff about Martin Crawford. Just show you here. Now, the YouTube channel is called Anna Pallotta, but the guy I'm talking about is this guy. That is Michael Pilarski. and you can find him. Most of his videos are on this channel, and he's a huge inspiration because he grows medicinal herbs in large quantities, but on a small scale. And he basically establishes about half an acre to an acre of gardens, and he has several of them. And he's basically just grown some food in between cash crops as well. So just to regenerate the land. So it's all very good. He shows you how to basically harvest all kinds of different medicinal plants, and a lot of them I'll be trying to grow here in Ireland as well next year. At least the ones that I believe I'm able to grow and I can actually get the seeds for. A lot of the plants you'll see here, you can't even get the seeds for them anymore at this stage. It's kind of hard to get them. So, but Michael Pilarski is very good. He also has a 2-acre forest garden that he planted, I think it was about 30 years ago. So even before Martin Crawford started. But what he's getting out of that forest garden is actually seedlings, a lot of tree seedlings. And I think naturalizing your cultivated varieties in your own forest garden system is really key if you want to make it long-term and extremely low maintenance, as in you can walk away from it and only maybe have a look at it for a few days a year and just do as little maintenance as that. And the system will keep developing. I mean, all natural systems basically peak in a forest. So a forest is usually how a natural system wants to evolve, or what it wants to evolve to. So Michael Pilarski is the man to watch because he interplants perennials and trees, fruit trees, and other trees like even shrubs, like black currants and red currants or gooseberries or that type of thing, in between his vegetables, and then as they grow, the vegetables can take over the space. And that's basically what I've been doing with all of the gardens, and even before I knew about Michael Pilarski, but he's been a huge inspiration, and I definitely would recommend looking him up. Probably one more, I'll hear, hang on, I have two more. Have you got any questions about any of this? Let me know in the chat and I'll have a look in a minute. Mark Shepherd is another one. He does 130 acres, I think he has, and he is a legend in his own right. It's the he does agroforestry and silvopasture, and he's combining the two. He's basically making rows of trees, nut trees and fruit trees and other crops that you can use for various purposes, mainly fruits and nuts, in between your rows of pasture. So you have grass, you can see here. And that's his place there. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? They have all kinds of different animals, like I believe they have cows, pigs, sheep, all grazing in different ways all over the land. And the land used to be really poor quality, and they've regenerated the landscape in only about 10-15 years. So Mark Shepherd has actually, they have books as well. I don't have that one here. I'll show you in a minute. So that's him there. Mark Shepherd, well worth looking up, even though you might think that's a big scale, that's agricultural scale. Don't really want to do that. You can still do that on a smaller scale. You can do it at 1 to 2 acres, no bother. Now for small scale, like a tenth of an acre, you might just look up, what's his name, Toby Hemingway. He'd be better at kind of small scale permaculture, for example. Ben Falk is another one. I cannot let you go without mentioning Ben Falk. He had started with a 10-acre homestead, built it out, built a cabin completely. I believe he's off grid. He has solar power, but they don't use much electricity because they have got hot water through a high performance wood burning range, and they have developed many ponds on their land as well. And they actually used to grow rice in Vermont in the US. So very cold climate. They got a lot of snow in the winter, but he says in the end the rice growing wasn't really worthwhile, but he just wanted to show that it can be done. That's kind of how he became famous. But he's not only famous for growing rice, he's also famous for growing sea buckthorn, and he's a bit of a you can see him holding some actually here now. he breeds them, and he has a lot of sea buckthorn. He says it's the citrus of the cold temperate, and how right he is. And the berries are actually quite nice to eat, even fresh. Now, of course, you don't want to be eating too many of them, but they're a little bit sour, but mostly sweet, I find. But you can make really healthy juice with them as well, and use them. Basically, sea buckthorn has way more vitamin C than a lemon. So, yeah, he also has a new book out as well. Hang on, I have his. I'll show you now in a second. Hang on, I'm going to come back to you now, just for a minute. Please let me know if you can, if you have any questions. So actually, this is Sepp Holzer's book. Look at that. That's his first one of his first books anyway. But it's pretty cool, like all these different ideas. And he also has Desert or Paradise, which is water retention. It kind of coincides with a little bit kind of parallel to, but not inspired by it, Jeff Lawton greening the desert. Sepp Holzer was doing those projects as well in other countries. We've also got The Resilient Homestead and Farm by Ben Falk. This is the first edition. There's a new edition out now, which includes the high performance wood stove, I believe. And definitely very inspirational, and different scales. So there's different scales for different people, but you might think, geez, all that stuff is very big scale. It's no big deal. You can actually do it on a smaller scale as well. It just shows that it can also be done bigger if you wanted to. One quick thing I'm just going to show you here. These are the plants for future. I'm not actually promoting these guys or anything like that, but I just want to show you that you can get these. So these are actually physical books, look, and you can get all the information for free on the website. It's just Plants for Future is pfaf.org, and I'll link to that in a minute in the comments. Just edible plants. Oh, that's going to be interesting. I'm going to be able to check like what kind of plants are in here, and I'm going to be able to grow some more for you guys, actually, for the customers and all the rest, all the people that want them. Edible shrubs, of course, the blackcurrant is here. Woodland gardening. This would be probably quite similar to what Martin Crawford does, but all it is really just get some ideas and inspiration just for what kind of plants you could grow, what plants are useful. You can see a rowan berry on the front cover here, or mountain ash. I've got some special varieties, just need to learn how to actually graft them. Does anyone here know how to graft rowan berries? I don't know. Mountain ash, probably the same as an apple tree, I would assume. You'd probably need a wild rootstock and a scion wood, but I've got a good variety of mountain ash now, and we're hoping to also do copies or propagate the some of the other berries as well, like the golden raspberry. We've been working on that one for a couple of years, and the aronia berry as well. Do anyone in the audience here, do you know how to propagate aronia berry? Usually it has root suckers, and then it just needs to be well covered, and then each of these will actually root each of the branches below the ground. So I think that's one way to do it. Perennials. Hang on. Edible trees. That appears to be a, what is that tree? Can't think of the name now. A beech tree, isn't it? Isn't that a beech tree? I didn't know beech trees are edible, or the seed maybe. Yeah, and a more general one as well. So just want to show you that because I think you can benefit from books like that, especially having physical books around. You know what? Books don't need electricity, so you'll always have it no matter what happens. And you know what? I actually quite like looking at a book because there is something nostalgic and timeless about it. And it's just nice not to have to look at screens all the time, especially not while you're reading. You don't have to be looking at screens all the time. I think looking at paper is a lot better for the eyes, probably. So let me just show you here. I'm just going to check for questions real quick. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. Thanks for joining again this week, Kevin. I'm sorry, everybody. Last week I could not do the live. I just had too much going on. Didn't really have access to the computer properly that evening, and we just have a lot of stuff going on. That's why I'm not going to do these live chats every Thursday at 9 o'clock anymore. I'm just going to do them. I'm going to schedule them as I can. if that makes sense. So don't worry if you. I'll let you know. I'll schedule them at least 24 hours in advance, I'd say. But if you want to make sure you don't miss it, just join our mailing list, and I'll just give you a link to that. It is gardensforlife.ie/subscribe for those of you on the audio. And now let me just have a look here. No, Mike is asking a question. What is sea buckthorn? Sea buckthorn is a shrub that mostly grows near the ocean. I assume that's why the name. But it has a male and a female plant, and the female actually makes these berries. I just had them a minute ago, actually. Didn't I happen to... Hang on. Which book was that? This one here. Hold on. Sea buckthorn is a shrub that grows a berry that is extremely astringent, but also sweet as well. So you could actually eat it. Hang on if I can find it again now. You could eat the berries raw, but you're best off to make a juice out of it. And it's really full of vitamin C. It's very valuable as a vitamin C source in the cold temperate climate. Hang on. I'm sorry. Here it is. Actually, I can't believe I found it. There you go. That's the sea buckthorn berry. And that's different here. Actually, below is elderberries. Those are still out now, but the sea buckthorn is extremely healthy, and it's one way of growing vitamin C here if you want to. I think it's very useful. Also, rose hips as well, or dog roses, are great for that as well. Like all the wild roses that make the big rose hips, they're very useful too for making things like jellies, or even just to nibble on when you're out there in the garden. But just make sure you don't eat the seeds in the middle of the hip, because you'll know all about it. So sea buckthorn, Mike, we need to grow more of those. I have about 5 or 6 varieties of them, male and female. I have mostly females. Of course, you need 4 female plants to 1 male, because and you have to interplant it. Of course, it is insect pollinated. It does make flowers, I believe, and unlike the nut trees or the sweet corn, but the sea buckthorn is tremendously useful because it grows really fast, and it grows in very poor soil. So it produces its own nitrogen. Well, it stores its own nitrogen in nodules in the root zone. So it is a nitrogen fixer. So it actually is useful to plant even beside even in the same hole as the fruit tree. And then you can cut it back and do chop and drop. You drop the branches on the ground to mulch the ground and to give habitat to insects and all the rest, and shelter. But also the corresponding root to the branch that you cut off will release all of the nitrogen nodules, which are just bacteria, and they'll release that nitrogen to all of the other plants, including your own fruit tree. So if you want to grow your own fertilizer, sea buckthorn is one of those ways to do so. But you can also look up nitrogen fixers if you want to. But this is a very common one that people use. What else do people use for nitrogen fixing? Can you tell me? In the comments or in the live chat, if you don't mind, just to see if there's any ideas on what else we can use in case we don't have access to mushroom compost, for example. Hello, Katrin. Thanks for joining us. Let's see here. Yeah, peas, of course, the legumes, same as the, what do you call them again? The Siberian pea tree, the locust family as well. They're in the same family. Black locust, honey locust, but they're fierce thorny. They're a great hedging plant, but they can get out of control, so I heard. I tried to grow a black locust before. It didn't really grow much. It didn't really grow properly. No problem, Mike, at all. I'm still working on... Oh, does poplar also fix nitrogen? I did not know that, Kevin. I'm going to grow a lot more plants next year, especially herbaceous perennials. So medicinal plants like echinacea, valerian, feverfew, a lot more comfrey. I've actually sold out of comfrey almost completely this year already. And for those of you who don't know, thank you, Sean. Alder and gorse. I didn't know alder also fixes nitrogen as well. Gorse, I wouldn't be planting that now, but it is. I mean, if it happens to be on the land, if your land is derelict, you will find, I suppose, land that has what you call gorse actually growing on it already, well then if you chop it, you know that there is a bit of fertility in the ground that's going to get released. So you could plant something else instead of it. So oh, thank you, Bianca. Hang on a second, I'll look for that question. Do you have any tours added, or is there any tours planned for the winter? So we usually do tours of the garden, not so much of the homestead. There isn't really that much to see here, but we only got an acre. So and we do process a bit of firewood, and we have chickens, and we do have gardens all around the house. But I'm not sure if it would be worthwhile looking at the homestead. But I presume you mean either the garden or the homestead. So the garden is actually in a separate location from our homestead, and we will be doing another tour. We usually do about a couple of tours, maybe 2 tours a month during the summer. We have actually stopped doing those now for the moment, but we're going to put on one more final tour this year, and it'll be I presume it'll be sometime around tuber season in mid-November. It'll probably book out, so keep an eye on the email list. Get your name or your email address signed up for our email list. It's just on gardensforlife.ie/subscribe. So you'll definitely find out about it then, and you'll have a chance to book in for it. We don't take any money for the tour. It's a free guided tour of the garden, and it's about 1.5 acres. But and it takes about probably an hour and a half, 2 hours. We don't take any money for it, so it's a free tour, and we're happy to show the place to people. And if people want to, at the end, they can buy a few plants or just become a member or whatever way they want to support us. By the way, we also have some new plants on the website as well, and you can take a look at it yourself. I might just put a link into the notes or into the comments. For those of you who don't know, we have an online shop, and you can support us by buying some plants and cuttings there. All the winter selection cuttings actually are going out next month, so that's actually in the next, probably going to start digging those up in the next probably 2 weeks from now, I'd say. The oca, as I said earlier, and the yacon, those are tubers, vegetables from the Andes in South America, and they need to be harvested before any kind of hard frost. So we're lucky enough now, we've been spared the frost. We only had a couple of nights now where it actually dropped to 0. So the yacons took a tiny bit of frost damage, but the rest of the plants are still okay. And they're still producing tubers. The Jerusalem artichoke is also ripening as well. So definitely keep an eye out. If you want to come to see the garden, last chance, we will be putting on another date, and keep an eye on the website. Again, it's on the online shop. It is free, but it's available off of the online shop, and it will be listed as #1 listing in the very top once it has been announced. So the free guided tour will be in the online shop. Just keep an eye out there. I just have nowhere else to put it. I think it's the best place for it, so that people are able to book in. Again, it's free, but you do have to book in, because otherwise we end up with too many people showing up all at once, which has never happened. But we have limited parking spaces, especially this time of year when the field or the grass is actually too wet to drive on. It's still okay now, though. It's still okay. So let me just see here. By the way, if you want to support us, you can become a member. Some of you already are members, and I really appreciate that. Thank you very much for supporting us and everything we do. We do try to do something for our members too, like giving you a discount on all the things we do, like plants and things, but also we give you access to the No Dig online course for free on our website. And if you're wondering, if you're a member and you haven't got access to the online course, let me know and I'll give you access. There's also a few ebooks in the members lobby as well. So we're also on Patreon under Birdland Homestead as well. No, just bear with me now. I'm just looking through the chat here real quick. Has anyone got any questions? I see here, Catherine has a question about marsh woundwort. So for those of you who don't know, marsh woundwort is actually a wild European wildflower, and it produces rhizome, just like mint, and it fattens up in the winter this time of year, and actually is a very starchy plant. So it has an edible root, and the flowers are also really nice. They're visited by a lot of insects during the summer months. So what time to plant them? Any time of year. It's a perennial. You can plant it anytime, really anytime, even during the growing season or in the winter, because in the winter time is the best to actually dig it up. That's the only thing I would advise. If you are transplanting it, like from one place to another, I would wait probably until now to actually take it up out of the ground, because the leaves have just perished on the plants. That means that the energy of the leaves, and the stems will have been stored in the roots, and that's when you want to take them. But we usually harvest the marsh woundwort for propagation purposes, like for making more plants or to sell on the website. The same way as the Jerusalem artichoke or any of the mints, actually. The mints are a little bit different. The Jerusalem artichokes and the marsh woundwort are best taken during the winter months, because that's when they're most abundant. For some plants, you kind of have a choice, but we just leave them in the ground and they don't go rotten. They're fine, even if there's frost. We don't have to harvest them all and store them frost-free like some of the other crops. No. Now here, Sean is saying, download Ecosia. It's a non-profit search engine that plants 1 tree every 45 searches. Okay. What do you mean download? Do you mean the app on your phone, is it? Because I use a PC, so I presume I can just go to their website. But I'll take a look at that. Thank you very much for that. Here's a question. Do we use a biodynamic calendar? No, not yet. We are still in, basically, my gardening is a little bit, it's very chaotic when you look at it, but then again, nature is actually chaos, but then it is also very organized at the same time, as in there is like an inherent rhythm to it. Like basically, I'm trying to make the most of the growing season most of the time, but I'm actually also starting seeds anytime. So I think I should, and I think you should try anyway, start some seeds on a seed day when you're supposed to plant seeds at the right time according to the biodynamic calendar. It's just because it depends on how the moon is actually going around the earth. There's different cycles, not just daylight. It's not just the daily cycle for temperature and daylight hours, and it's not just the yearly cycles, like the times of the year, like say spring, summer, autumn, and winter. It's also monthly as well, so it depends, because the moon is actually pulling all the water up, so it's actually able to influence the water in the plants and even inside of people as well. So it's not just the water in the ocean the moon is pulling, it's also pulling all the water elsewhere as well. So it is important, and in plants things kind of move slowly, so of course the moon will have much more of an influence on plants than it would on living or animate beings. I don't know that much about it, but there's actually a video on our channel. If you go to our YouTube channel or our website, type in biodynamic into the search, and you'll find Charles Carr from the Bull on Ark in Loughrea talking about it for a minute. Let me see here. I have another question here. Mike says, do you cure your Jerusalem artichoke before eating them? Yes, you have to. About 1 to 2 weeks, probably 2 weeks is better in daylight. You can put them on a windowsill, that's plenty. It doesn't have to be sunny. Just on a table in a greenhouse is also fine. So Jerusalem artichokes have a lot of inulin in them, and they need to be cured so that the inulin breaks down, basically. Otherwise, you're going to know why they're also known as fartichoke. And it is actually healthy for you, the inulin, but too much of it is not good for you, I guess. because the bacteria get a bit too happy. But actually, a little bit of it is actually like a what's it called? Can somebody help me out here? I can't think of a probiotic, of course. Prebiotic, probiotic. I think that's what it's called. So, folks, if you have no more questions, I might just leave it at that. I'm going to just show you the list again real quick of the different people that inspired us. So there's a couple of different YouTube channels for those of you who didn't see. I just go through them real quick. This is Michael Pilarski, and that's the YouTube channel that he happens to be on. And it's well worth looking him up. He grows medicinal plants and also some food crops as well. Mark Shepard is a farmer that does agroforestry. You can see his farm there. Well worth looking up. We also have his book here somewhere. Ben Falk is the Resilient Homestead. Sepp Holzer is all about water management and catching water while you can. And I feel that it's very, very important for us to retain water on the landscape, because probably we're going to get less rain at some point if the old Gulf Stream stops. Apparently it's supposed to be eventually now, and it's going to be raining an awful lot less. Now, for most of us here in Ireland, actually we wouldn't mind a bit less rain, because it's always damp in Ireland anyway. But the best way to actually retain water in a landscape is swales. So that's just basically a ditch with a mound on the side, on the downhill side. So you can check Sepp Holzer and Mark Shepard for that water management technique. It's also known as what's it called again? The yeoman's plow. And there's a guy from Australia that wrote a book about it. I'm not sure now. This is Martin Crawford, also well worth having a look at. It's just a 2-acre forest garden, and with 550 species and mostly edible down in southern England. Well worth taking a look at him and what he grows. And we want to also grow more different crops next year. If you have any ideas what we should grow, please let me know in the live chat. I'd love to know. Here are some of the people that inspired us. Like, for example, one of the new crops that I want to grow is more Sichuan pepper trees. It's a type of crop that's a delicacy, and you can grow it here. It grows quite well, and it doesn't take that long. It takes about 3 years to get the first fruit, or the first peppercorns, I should say. So you can see here, Paul Gauci on YouTube. Look him up. Very good. He's all about back to Eden gardening method is simply to put wood chips on the ground and mimic a forest floor. And that works for water retention as well. So that holds the water for a very long time. Richard Perkins just put out his first video in a year on his YouTube channel. Not yesterday, I think. He bought a restaurant now. He was running Richdale Farm. He still owns Richdale Farm. And he's all about market gardening and egg and meat production. So well worth looking him up if you haven't done so yet. Spirit of Health is a very good YouTube channel for all things herbalism. Basically, he does free classes on various conditions of the body and different systems, and how you can help them along by eating the right food. And it's all about designing your health, like basically healing by design. That's his thing. Jack Spirko, always been an inspiration, especially for business advice. He was like a marketing consultant to a big company, and he started his own business, his own podcast, basically. Basically, his motto is helping you make your life better, whether times get tough or not. So it's all about growing your own food and living the homestead life, but also starting your own business to have a little bit more autonomy and have a bit more potential upside, rather than a job. So Klaus Leitenberg, of course, he's also been an inspiration of growing vegetables. He's based in Bundoran, also Achill Island now. He has some land there now. I think it's 8 acres or so. And he's going to start developing that. I've seen a couple of short videos of him at the new site already. So for those of you who don't know, just look up Klaus Leitenberger. And Anyway, I don't want to go through them all here now. There's a lot more, and might do that some other day. We have another question. Hang on a second now. The link to that page. Okay, hang on. I'll get it for you now. The page, is that the page of the people that inspired us? I'll give you that in the comments there now, or in the live chat. It's coming through now. So there's also a question here. Cayenne pepper. Oh, actually, it's Szechuan pepper. Hang on a second. I'll just get you a link here. Let me just put you on my screen here too. So what we'll do is we'll go to pfaf.org, and we'll just try it. I think it's also known as Chinese pepper. I'll try that actually, Chinese pepper. Sorry, no, I just have to take a look. That's not it. There it is. That's the one. Yep. It's also known as prickly ash. That's another way to find it. Here, I'll give you the link to that, Mike. Hang on a second. Here. There's the link for the Szechuan pepper. I got some seeds. You can get them. They're quite expensive. I think it's like €15 for 50 seeds or something like that. That's okay. I'll buy some more, and we're going to start some more Szechuan pepper trees next year. I'll try a couple of 100 trees just to see. They do grow here, and once they're going well. Like they're hardy, and they're also very spiky as well. But if you've never eaten Szechuan pepper before, go to some kind of food shop, like where you can get, maybe a health food shop. Where can you buy a Szechuan pepper? I don't know, but it's a food product. It's just like regular black pepper, but it's a different type of different plant, and it's a plant that you can grow here, and it's definitely really nice to eat. And we actually we have it in our kitchen. We had it in our kitchen for a while. We just threw it into the old pepper mill, and it was a delight for a while. It was a delight, and then we have gone through it. All right, folks, thanks for joining me this evening for the conversation. It is a little bit tiring and drying to try and keep talking for 47 minutes with nobody else to throw in a word. What we're going to do is we'll do another live chat if you want to. Let me know if you are interested, and please go to our YouTube channel, Odyssey or Rumble, or our website, and you can give us a thumbs up if you want to support us, or you can buy plants on our website as well. I don't want to be using this to promote ourselves too much, but you can still get cuttings. The winter selection is shipping next month, so we're going to be harvesting willow, poplar, elder cuttings. By the way, the poplar is sold out already, even before the season is here, the winter selection season. So during the pre-sale, we sold out of some of the things like comfrey and the poplar, and probably most of the elder as well. But anyway, you can also get lots of herbaceous perennials as well, like Chinese rhubarb and different types of rhubarb and valerian plants and marshmallow and all sorts of different things. You can also support us by becoming a member on our members page. It's gardenforlife.ie/members, or join us on Patreon. It is Birdland Homestead on Patreon. You can also join us on our YouTube channel now too. Thank you. Thank you, Vanessa, for joining, and Mike and everybody, and Bianca. See you another time. Not next Thursday, as I said to you. So stay tuned. Again, one last time, if you want to find out when these live chats are happening, keep an eye on the YouTube channel or the website. I'll try to announce them 24 hours in advance, but what I'll do is I do try to keep them a little bit more spontaneous, so I get more of them done as well. But join our email list. Hang on a second, I'm looking over here because I'm looking for the link. Join our email list, and it is gardensforlife.ie/subscribe. I'll put a link here. Thanks, Kevin, for joining us. I really appreciate that. I appreciate your time. Hopefully you got something out of it. And I do hope you all got some bit of inspiration to grow more perennials and some useful trees. And I'll be trying to take some time too to take a look at all these new books that I got. These ones here, the plants for a future selection, and because there's an awful lot of plants there that we could grow in Ireland, and they'd be very low maintenance plants, being perennial, and we're going to be definitely growing those and testing them out, and we'll make videos about it, and we're gonna let you know. We're gonna let you know what plants do well. I think, especially some of the more exotic plants, I think we can even altogether we can create a market, like Szechuan pepper grown in Ireland. You know, you never know. There could be a business in that. So again, if you want to contact me, it's contact@gardensforlife.ie. If you have any questions in the meantime, or if you want to join our email list, it is gardensforlife.ie/subscribe if you don't want to miss a thing. See you guys. Bye-bye.